Hi, Tori. You're on mute.
Oh, hi.
How's it going?
Good. Just us?
Well, we're just starting, so I'm expecting people to start getting into the waiting room.
Okay.
And we are being recorded, which is why your video is off. But if you do want to turn your video on, you're welcome to. Just it's going to be posted on the member portal.
Yeah, no problem. I'll leave it off.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, Pete.
Testing one, two, three.
We can hear you.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Just going to wait for everyone to finish joining. And this is being recorded, everyone. So you're welcome to have your cameras on and have it be, it's going to be just internal for other NHAA members, but just wanted to remind y'all about that. Hi, Audrey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
So I'm just going to give it a few more minutes because I'm sure some people are rushing home from work and just getting settled in.
Yes, still raining.
Yes. It's kind of a nice pensive day to think about your upcoming artist curated exhibition. I was really excited to see that we had 27 artists sign up for this tonight. I'm not sure if everyone will still be able to make it, but I would love to see us get to at least half of that before we really dive into the Q&A. Um, while we're waiting, I wanted to share that if you have a question, and sometimes with so many people on Zoom, things can, you might talk over someone or you might struggle to get your question out there. And please feel free to use the chat. You can always type in a question into the chat, and I'm going to be taking a look at that and making sure that I answer those questions as well.
Thank you.
but looks like we're getting a bunch of new folks joining. Right. All right, so I'm gonna jump in and start. If some folks trickle in, that's okay. I wanted to start by thanking you all for showing an interest in our artist curated program and joining me tonight for this Q&A. Um, it is being recorded for members that aren't able to jump on this evening, so just know that if you have your camera on, you're going to be featured in the video. Um, it'll be mostly just for our internal artist members purposes, but just wanted to share that with y'all. And I also have received some questions via email from a few artists that aren't able to attend. So I'm going to be answering those throughout the night as well. So I wanted to start by giving an overview about what exactly the artist curated program is. And we call it artist curated because it's up to you, the artist, to decide, what work you want to have in the show and what themes and ideas and mediums and all of, that you want to explore in your artwork. And this is something that I think is special and a little bit unique to NHAA because we are there to support you in your role as curator rather than more similar to a commercial gallery, sort of dictating what we want to see. And really, the whole idea of the program is to, of course, help you have a successful, incredible exhibition, and also to provide some mentorship and some career growth throughout the process. And that even the call for proposal process, even like how we have you apply is it's part of the experience of trying to help you grow because we know that there are a lot of other art opportunities out there that you can pursue um, outside of NHAA, and the skills and the tools to write a successful proposal can be used to apply for grants, apply for artist residency programs, apply for exhibitions at other galleries, and really hopefully spread your wings and fly as a visual artist. So that is why we have this call for art. That's why we do this Q&As to help support you. And, we hope that you kind of get the most bang for your buck out of this and do submit it to other opportunities to help get your work out there even further. And for most of you, I think most of you have been already to our Robert Lincoln Levy Gallery, which is in downtown Portsmouth at 136 State Street. And we do have exhibition opportunities like the Art Center in Dover, but we have the most control, of course, over the NHA spaces. So if you do have specific questions about the Art Center or the Concord Chamber of Commerce, that won't be as much of the focus tonight, but you can certainly ask those questions as well. Um, and at a certain, like later on, I will walk you all through the member portal and show you and walk you through the application. But I just wanted to start by, start it off simple and easy and just see if anyone has any burning questions, just about like the very basics of the program. And in terms of the structure for tonight, you can raise your hand, but feel free to just jump in. And if you notice that you're not getting the opportunity to speak because other people are speaking, please use the chat and I'll make sure that I give you time to ask your question. All right. So I'm going to move on to the first online question that I received, which I think is a really good one to kind of kick us off, which was, what does a good submission look like? And a good submission is um, really detailed and really thoughtful. The more time and effort that you put into it, we're not looking for a really long proposal. 1 to 2 pages is more than enough, but we want to see like a focus and we want to see detail. So um, if we go, I'm gonna, just to show you our member portal, I'm gonna share my screen here. When you first enter the member portal, it looks like this. Can you all see this so far? Yeah, great. So you're going to scroll down to the exhibits information and the 2026 call for proposals right here. And you can see that the submission deadline is November 16th. So you can click here to apply. And this is going to take you to our SurveyMonkey application. I recommend that if you're feeling kind of like nervous about this process, you can always like print this out or do a screenshot or copy and paste this into a Google Doc or a Word doc and kind of start building your application from there. We ask you a lot of basic information. If it's a solo show or if there's going to be other NHAA members that are interested in participating, how much space you want. And then this is really the meat of it right here is we ask you to attach a file that is, your proposal. And so we say 2 pages maximum. And so what you want in here is you want your title, and really like, why did you come up with that title? What is this? How does it describe your body of work? What inspired you? Were there other artists? Were you interested in text? Were you reading books? Were you inspired by nature? Was there a current event that happened that inspired you? Is it something more personal that you want to talk about and fully explore through your artwork? We want to know sort of like the inner workings of like why you're driven to create the work that you want to show with us. And then you can also give some specifics in how you are going to explore that theme. Are you painting on canvas? Are you doing collage? Are you sculpting? Are you a multidisciplinary artist? And are there multiple different mediums that you hope to explore in your artwork? We want to know all of those details. And we really, we want to know this sort of the scope because we like to align that with the gallery spaces that we have available. So if you know that you want to work really large, I would expect you to request the East Gallery, which is the largest gallery and has the most space available. If you have a proposal of really tiny, small works, I think the South Gallery would probably be the best fit for you. Um, and just making clear connections between what your goals are and what your inspiration is to, what you write about in your proposal. If you want to reference Baroque art and, you plan on having all of your frames in like all of your artwork framed in ornate gold frames, we want to know that detail. We want to know how that's significant to the meaning behind your work and how you hope to express it. Um, Also, what's very important is the project timeline. So, has your work been created or is it in process? There's no wrong answer with that, but it just helps us. Like, if your work is already completed, it helps us know that you might be eligible for an exhibition slot in April, May, in the beginning of the year, versus later in the year for November, September, or November, where you might need more time to create your body of work. So giving us an idea on how long it takes for you to create your work and whether the work's been created or not. And all of those details will help us to find the best placement for your work. Um, and then one thing that's really key here is that this is a competitive opportunity. And we hope to give as many members the opportunity to have an artist curated show. But this is something that you should be really thoughtful about, that you should put a lot of time into writing because it's not a guarantee that everyone will be selected. Um, Also very important is if you are choosing the East Gallery, that you need to include a plan for the window. The window is a really big part of the East Gallery, and it also brings a lot of visitors into our space. You can use it for sculptures, you can hang large works. We have panels that can go up that can hold artwork. Right now, if you check it out this month, we have a large piece in the window that's suspended by a chain from the ceiling and it's double-sided. There's two pieces back to back. That's another option. But we want you to really like visualize your exhibition and describe it to us in your proposal. Um, we have had artists use the Fraser Gallery for installations, and this past year, Madison Albanese had a curtain that she hung in the back of the Fraser Gallery to divide the space so that she could do a video projection as part of her piece. We're very open to new media. This year, we had several printmaking animations that were displayed on artist-provided TVs and monitors. You're welcome to bring in your own AV equipment and in order to show, an animation or a video work. Um, continuing down on the application, the next piece is for you to submit an artist bio. And this should be updated. I know that sounds like a silly thing, but I can't tell you how many applications I've read where the bio is clearly 10 years old or 5 years old or a little different than, what the artist has been most recently up to. And we really want to see, a current bio. Um, we don't, it doesn't need to be too long, but we use a lot of what you submit in your proposal and in your bio to get to know you, and also as the beginning pieces of information for your PR article. So if your exhibition is selected, we will use what you submit in your proposal to just kind of kick us off with our PR writing. And then the last piece is really, your portfolio. And we're looking for 3 to 10 images. If you have, say you only have one piece done that you're like, this is definitely going to be in the show, but you have a sketchbook full of ideas of things in progress. You are welcome to submit sketchbook files. You're welcome to submit work that you don't want, that's already sold, that isn't going to be included in the show, but is in the same style, medium, it's related to the subject matter that you hope to explore. We also understand that as artists, sometimes new ideas, jump into our heads and we're like, okay, no, we want to go in this direction. Or maybe I thought it was going to be this, but it's evolved a little bit to be a little different and it's this thing. That's totally fine. And we expect that to happen. But we do want you to inform us and let us know along the way other ways that we can support you, or just, making sure that you can still hit your deadline given the changes. Because we really depend on all of our artists. When we plan our exhibition calendar and we publish that in the beginning of the year, that is, we hope that is set for the year. We don't like to make last minute changes. And it's really hard to fill in slots if an artist has to drop out or if something happens. And of course, there are personal emergencies and family emergencies and things that happen. There's changes in life circumstances. And we're always understanding of those types of things. But even within that, we've worked with artists to help them transport, if transportation's an issue, we've worked with artists to help coordinate the drop off of their work. We try to be as accommodating as we can because we are a community and we all like to pitch in where we can. One thing that might be a little bit confusing here is you see that we're looking for a single PDF document. So think Google Slides, think PowerPoint presentation, think Canva presentation, if you're familiar with that program. So on every page of your PDF, it should be one piece of art. So we don't want a Word doc that has 10 pieces of art, really tiny little thumbnail style. We want a multi-page PDF with one full page dedicated to each image. And on each page, you will have the opportunity to label it with the title, size, medium, the date created. You can put pricing information in there, especially if you want to talk to us about pricing. It's a great way for us to kind of know that that's something that you're interested in talking about and to have a reference point for what you were thinking for pricing. Um, if you do have video work, you can put a link to a YouTube video or another hosting service so you can take a look at your video. And if you do have trouble, feel free to contact us about how to make a PDF, but also your local library is a great resource for that. Um, Here we have the floor plan for the gallery. This is very old. This predates my time at NHAA, this layout here. And I will tell you that the Fraser Gallery is sort of underrepresented here. It's a lot bigger than it looks. It looks like it's smaller than the South Gallery, but in fact, Fraser is bigger than the South Gallery. So make sure I'll show you where you can find more accurate floor plans on our website once we finish rolling through this. The Art Center in Dover, we have this very basic floor plan. This is a 12 by 14 wall, but really there's no guarantee on where your art will be placed. You'll be working more directly with Rebecca Proctor, who's the owner of the Art Center in Dover. And she will help you with the exhibition design and the layout, and you'll work more directly with her than you will with the NHAA team. Of course, we're always here for you if something happens, but whenever you're the art center, they kind of have their own program and their own way of doing things. Another important piece is our price chart. So for new members, we are closed for the month of January. And we like to strike this really great deal with our artists where if your work is selected for an artist curated show, we will invoice you in January for the gallery rental fee in exchange for helping us during our slow month in January and all the help that we will do to help you have a successful exhibition. We also offer an 80-20 split commission-wise for your artist curated show. So if you know that you are going to have a lot of sales, or if you put a lot of energy into your marketing, it can be a really great way for you to make some great money on your show. Um, 80-20 is a really incredible split, as I'm sure I don't have to tell you. Most commercial galleries are 50-50. Our Levy Gallery for our group shows is 60-40. So this is an area where we get to be a little bit generous, in part because y'all are helping us out while we're closed in January. And there have been some slight price increases for these. You might notice that, East Gallery and, these prices have been bumped up a little bit, but we also offer more. So where instead of one thing that we've struggled with in the past was you paid your rental fee and then we build you for vinyl and then we build you for signage and then we build you for all these little things throughout the exhibition process. So we thought, let's consolidate it to make it really easy so there's just one price and there's no unexpected costs later on in the year. The one thing that is additional is some artists like to bring in snacks and food and to sort of share for the opening reception. They might want to bring flowers or they might want to share something that is maybe special or meaningful or a favorite treat during their opening, and you're welcome to do that. It's optional, it's not required, but if you do bring a favorite bottle of wine or something like that, of course, that is going to be an additional cost. The next piece is about scheduling. So it's really helpful for us to know when you're unavailable. So, for example, if you know that your work's not going to be finished in April, say that you're unavailable in April. If you're going on vacation and you won't be able to bring your work or drop it off or help install it during a certain month, let us know about that. But we want the more flexibility that you offer us, the easier it will be for you to get your preferred slot or for us to give you an opportunity to have an artist curated show. I can tell you that this year, April and November are the preferred months. That's when we will be hosting artist curated shows. But in October, we're having a retrospective for one of our artists that's been a few years in the making. And so October won't be available. The next piece here is the D. Pratt Framer Artist Opportunity Grant. So we do know that even with the 80-20 split, sometimes the rental fee is still a barrier. And we have, thanks to the generosity of D. Pratt Framer and Kittery and Rye, they fund, usually it's 5 to 6 artists every year. And the grant is only available for exhibitions at the Levy Gallery. It doesn't apply to the Art Center. And you can check off here whether you plan on applying or not. The application is really simple. It's right here. So please note this if you do plan on applying. You email a letter about how this opportunity would impact your art career to me. And then I assemble all of the materials and I share that with D. Pratt Framer, and they are the ones that select the artists that they would like to fund. You can also apply for outside grants and outside funding, and if that is necessary for you to be able to take advantage of this opportunity, I would be happy to have a conversation with you about that. And then the last thing is making sure that you review the artist curated timeline and artist expectations. We're not going to go through this right now because it's a really long document. And this is really like a timeline. It's a game plan. It's a way to get your thoughts organized. It gives you, like what you need to do 7 to 8 weeks prior. And it's a little bit of a countdown throughout until you get to 1 week prior. We've put a lot of time and thought into making this a really useful tool for you as artists. So please take advantage of this as a resource and read through it. Even just from the beginning, this will help you write your proposal. What originally motivated you to decide to do your show? What is it that you'd like to get out of your exhibition? What will make it successful for you? Those are some really key questions that can help guide you in writing your proposal. While I'm still sharing my screen, if we go back to the member portal, you can see right here we have the floor plans, and these are the full gallery floor plans. So we have the main gallery, the rear gallery, east gallery, south gallery, and Fraser. And so when you think about the size of your work and how it would fit in each space, I really recommend coming in person and walking around and seeing the space. But these are a great backup if you're unable to do that. And you can also use these to help lay out your work when you're thinking through your exhibition design. All right. So I think I'm going to stop there because this is a Q&A. And I'm going to, open it up to everyone here to ask the first question. Looking through the chat here, and the first question on the chat is, does the artist have any control over the timing for their exhibit, i.e., if we want it later in the year rather than earlier? So yes, that is going to be in the unavailables, information piece that I shared. And also, in your proposal, you can, if you have a really, really limited schedule, you can say, this is my preferred date. But like I said before, the more flexibility you offer us, the easier it's going to be for us to have you slotted in at any point. The next question from Jamie, maybe a more advanced question. What is the best way to go about forming a collaborative exhibition with another NHAA member? I'm thinking we would want to submit a proposal together, but how can I find other artists to discuss and create that? That's a great question. We do have a few NHAA artist critique groups. We have one specific to photography. There's a painting group that meets with Joe Flaherty at the Art Center. And we just started Earth Tones, which is an environmental advocacy and art group. So those are pre-existing groups, but if there's a specific, like if you're looking for a sculptor or if you're looking for a specific medium to partner with, you can always reach out to the NHAA team, which is, of course, me, Carol, Emily, and Mandela. And, the four of us can try to do some artist matchmaking. And the other thing is come to as many of our second Saturday and our opening receptions on first Fridays and as many of our like public events as possible because we get such great member turnout for those. And it's a really great way to network with other artists. And if you do have a specific request or you want to really like wear the curator hat and put together a show on a specific theme, you can even put together like a kind of call for art or a call for a call, and we can email it out to our member list. So definitely connect with myself and other NHA staff members to help with that. Um, the reason why it costs more to bring in snacks and wine is just the cost of whatever you want to bring in. You can splurge and get a fancy bottle of champagne. You can go to Trader Joe's and get the $6 bottles. It's just an additional cost that I just wanted to be transparent about because it's come up with other artists in the past. So sorry if I made that a little bit confusing. Um, okay. Does the application save if it's partially completed, or does it need to be done all in one sitting? It is absolutely better to do it in one sitting. But you can access the application whenever you need. So that's why I recommended either copying and pasting everything into a separate doc. Most of the input questions are just name, email, dates, so that those pieces are really simple. The bulk of the application is the PDF that you upload for your proposal and the PDF that you upload with your portfolio. So those can be prepared ahead of time. And then when you're ready to submit the application, you just have that and upload. Yes, Tori, I see your question. Can a non-NHAA member be part of a collaborative show? Absolutely. We just need to know a little bit more about them because with NHAA members, we obviously have a relationship with all of you. So part of what we are looking for here is accountability. That's sort of what I was mentioning before about, when someone drops out, it's sort of a big deal for us to handle as a small team. So that's where like the bio or CV from an outside artist would be really helpful so that we know, okay, this artist has done exhibitions before, or maybe they haven't done exhibitions before, so they might need more check-ins from our team, just to understand sort of where that other person is in their artistic journey. And then this is the last question in the chat from Denise. Does NHAA help decide the name of the exhibit, and is that part of the vinyl lettering? So, as the artist curated aspect of things, our goal is to empower you and to help support you. So, yes, we will absolutely go through a list of different options with you. We will tell you our opinions. We will help you brainstorm and come up with, different ideas. But part of the fun is that you get to decide. And even if you say, "Hey, I really want your help. Can you help me brainstorm exhibition titles on this theme. We've done that for many artists before and be happy to do that. But at the end of the day, you get to pick from the list. You pick the one that resonates the most with you. Um, I'm gonna just keep reading off the chat, but if that isn't comfortable for you, please, interrupt me and let me know. How many pieces do you recommend per artist to make a good solid exhibit? This is completely dependent on the size of your work. It's completely dependent on the space that you choose. So, for example, you could have the South Gallery and pick 3 pieces, especially if you pick one wall, either the K or the L wall in the South Gallery. Um, yeah, sorry, the J or the K in South Gallery. Those are much smaller walls, and I've seen really incredible exhibits with just 3 pieces, 3 large pieces that just fill the space beautifully. We've also had artists that have used that same space, like the K wall in South Gallery, and hung it floor to ceiling, small works, and had something like 80 pieces in there. And it was also really impactful. So it's really hard for me to say. Um, we we do help you with that throughout the process. Every artist is required who's selected is required to have a mandatory meeting with me and Mandela. And we ask you questions about your exhibition design and walk you through the process and kind of get you thinking about what, again, your goals are for your show and how we can help you meet them. Um, and, not every artist's goal is to have a lot of sales. And I know that for some really sales motivated artists, that might sound like, what? You can be successful without selling your work? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. And, we had an artist, James Coyer, who did exhibition this spring called Scripted Sculpture, and his goal was to get community responses to his work. And so Mandela and I worked with him to create an interactive piece of his exhibit. And he was thrilled that he had so many people sculpting using pipe cleaners and writing their responses to his artwork as part of this interactive exhibit. And to him, that was more important than actually selling the work. And so we want to meet you where you're at. And it's really not only, sales are a part of it, but also it could be greater exposure. It could be communicating a specific message. There's a lot of different directions you can go.
Amanda, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's Laura. How are you?
Hi, good. This is giving
Good.
me a moment to take a breath, so thank
Yes,
you.
take a breath. Thank you for doing this, and I'm admiring your artwork back there on the wall. It's beautiful. So I have like 3 questions, so I just rather than type everything. So I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about, the 80/20 and bartering that for work in January. Could you explain that a little better?
Yeah, so for all NHAA exhibits, we have a commission rate. So and for all of our art call applications, like right now we have Unspoken. I hope you all submit. We need more pieces for that show. Just a little plug there. And
Okay.
so the commission rate for Unspoken is 60/40. So the artist gets 60 if your work sells, and NHAA keeps 40 for our work in hosting the exhibition.
Right.
So for the artist curated, it's 80/20. So the artist keeps 80% and NHAA gets 20. And the reason why we're able to be that generous is because we have the rental fees that are due in January. So
Oh,
if
I
your
see.
work is selected, you need to pay, we'll send you a Square invoice and we ask you to pay it in the month of January. And then that helps NHAA during our difficult winter time. And we reward our artists by having a really low commission rate of 80/20.
I see. Okay, thank you very much. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And are the exhibiting months are they only open April to November minus October this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, If there was, you know, if you really wanted to have a show in January or February, I would be open to it. Same thing with March, but the reason why we took those months off is because we found that it wasn't, those are some of our slower months, and that we got a lot more traction with group shows, or, for example, having the fledgling show in March has turned March into a really busy month for us. Typically, it wasn't before the fledgling exhibit started. Um, and so we're just trying to give our artists the best opportunity and set you up for success with the Artist Curated program.
Okay, great. And the last one you mentioned, possibly, you know, not necessarily doing a show to make money. Are you allowed to put pieces in that are not for sale?
We prefer
Not-
everything to be for sale,
Right.
because, you know, but I just want it, you know, NHAA is a special place in part because we are not a commercial gallery and we are free from some of those restrictions. And when we do the curation, we, of course, think about, you know, how successful is this artist going to be with sales? But we accept a lot of artists and a lot of work with who do not have proven sales records. And this is part of our nonprofit mission of helping artists grow, and also making sure that, you know, if your goal is to you know, have social commentary, or to like use your art to as advocacy or something of that nature, that those goals are just as successful. So if you know, we it would have like, yes, you can have a piece or two in your show that's not for sale, but it should be you know, smaller part, or it can take up a lot of wall space, but there should be a specific reason why it's there. You
Yeah.
know, is it because it's an interactive piece where the community gets to engage? Um, you know, we had an artist do a piece that was like a cubic, like 3 cubic feet of trash, which is and it was to raise awareness about how much trash most Americans generate in a day. And you know, that was like in the center of the South Gallery. That was a really impactful piece. We knew why it was there. You know, it was making a really important statement that we wanted to share with the public. So if you have a piece that's not for sale, there should just be a reason why it's there.
Okay.
And the reason shouldn't be, you know, just because it's a favorite and you don't want to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. While you guys are all thinking, I'm going to go off of another one of our emailed questions, which is, what kind of fees slash costs should we expect if our proposal is accepted? So I went over that a little bit with the rental fees and the 80/20 split and all of that, but I do want to just reiterate that having an exhibit like this can be really expensive. So you definitely should budget and have you know, if you're a photographer, how much is it going to cost to print your work? How much does your paper cost? How much do you want to spend on your framing? All those are really important factors to think about, just because I know that we're all working artists, and so, you know, there are some barriers, or there are some different ways where if you plan ahead and you have this as part of your budget ahead of time, it might make it easier for you as you get closer to your exhibition date. Um, another question here are, what are the size restrictions specifically for larger work? And I don't have the measurement off the top of my head, but I want to say that our front door, is something like 72 inches tall. And if you open both the doors up, I think it's something like around 48 inches. So if it can fit in the door and it can fit on the wall, and it's, I would say, less than 100 pounds, I would want to, if you have really, really heavy work, I would want to make sure that that everything is stable enough for, like, for example, the Portsmouth Historical Society has all those giant stone sculptures on their main floor right now, and they had to hire an engineer to make sure that, like, with that it could withstand all of the, the weight of all those massive sculptures. I don't think that we have any artists here that are considering, like bringing in giant blocks of granite and marble, but if that were the case, like there definitely are different requirements that we have to think about. Um, but as you all know, we have a hanging system, which is the Walker rod system. And at the top of the wall, there's a piece of molding where our hanging system hangs off of. And we would just need to make sure that for very large pieces, it would be able to fit in there, effectively, and that it could either use the hanging system, or if it was again a very heavy piece, we could always use a different system like a French cleat, or that type of a thing to accommodate the size. But these are all things that you should also be thinking about. And we want this to be very collaborative. So it's not just NHAA making all the decisions. We also need you to help us make the decisions and for you to be thinking through, okay, how am I going to hang it? How's it going to work? How's it going to look? Where are these pieces going? And I think that's part of the fun of it. It also makes it much more possible for our small team to be able to have so many exhibitions every year. I see there's a question about the size of the front window. Um, so on the wall dimensions, we have the window as 15 feet by 9 and 9 inches. But I do think that it would be best for us to remeasure that and get a more accurate measurement for you. The other thing about the window is that there's a lot of muntins, so those intersecting pieces in the window, that you should definitely accommodate. And if you reach out to me or Mandela and I will be working in the gallery tomorrow. We can certainly send out some more specific information. And we were also planning on doing this and posting it to the member portal for everyone to have as a resource anyways. So we can start putting that together for you. The last question that I have on from the email list was, how much should we have done slash solidified thought-wise as it relates to the show? And I think that I started to answer this one in talking about the proposal, but really you should have a lot of your thought. You should have this very thought out. And if you are feeling vague or unsure about what you like, you're like, oh, a solo show sounds like a great opportunity. And it's a goal of mine as an artist. Like, I really want to achieve that. You want to sort of savor that opportunity. It shouldn't be something that's rushed through, or it shouldn't be something that you throw together. It should be something savored and enjoyed, and where you can really put a lot of thought and time into it. So I would say that it's not like we are flexible, like I mentioned before, and we expect your ideas to evolve, but you should have a pretty good idea of what your goals are, what your inspiration is, and like sort of the why this is important, why you want to do it now. So it is 6:15, so we've got about another 15 minutes or so based on how many questions you guys have for me.
I have another one. Thinking about like which gallery you want, um, can you put in specific, like maybe I want to apply for this one, but if it's not available completely, my second choice is.
Absolutely.
Was that on the application and I missed it?
Probably it might have been, but we always do that.
Okay.
And another thing that we do in part of our curation is we like to think about, we don't want three photographers back to back to back. We don't
Sure.
want three landscape painters back to back to back. And in part, it's because we're trying to make it the biggest and best opportunity for each artist. And we try to avoid those types of competitions where, like, if your work is, we would want, if you're doing seascapes, we want you to be the only one in the gallery doing seascapes that month. It's just the right thing.
Right.
Um, of course, that's not always possible, but we try to make that happen as much as possible. And so I guess what I'm saying is that we look at all of that. And if you have a conflict, we'll probably call you in December or January and be like, hey, we think that this is the best time for your show. Can you do it? Can you make it happen? Or do we have to slot you in here? And so, like, we will reach out to you, and Jamie can testify to this because he didn't originally apply for the East Gallery show, but we were like, you need East Gallery. How do you feel about taking on much more space? And he had a very successful exhibition in June. So uh, you know, we also look at your proposal tells us so much about who you are as an artist and where you're at. And if we see an opportunity to push you to grow a little bit or to get a little bit out of your comfort zone, we will do that. And if we see a lot of vagueness or a lot of uncertainty in your proposal and you want East Gallery, we will advise you to go with something smaller and more approachable. So
Yeah.
we use
Yeah.
our experience to kind of make it, hopefully the most successful show that it can be.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Any other questions out there? Any other thoughts? Has this been helpful? Have I made you more confused?
No, you've been very helpful. Can you point me to where the costs, the rental fees are again? I can't find where that is.
Sure. Let me just share my screen again. So last I was on our gallery floor plan. So I'm going to take you back to our member portal. So when you go to the NHAA website under the membership member portal, it'll take you here. The password for everyone is all lowercase, no spaces, I love art. And once you're on this page, you're going to scroll down until you get to the exhibitions information. And you're going to, it's under call for proposals, the submission deadline, November 16th, you're going to click here. And this will take you to the application, which has our price sheet right here. And this is strategic. We want you looking at the full application.
Okay, got it.
We want
Thanks.
you thinking about, like, oh, what space do I want? And oh yeah, what am I gonna, I gotta make some PDFs. Okay.
Great.
Um,
Thanks.
but if you do want, you feel free to take a screen capture, print this page out so you can think about it. Are there any other questions about navigating the member portal while I'm still sharing my screen? Okay. Any last questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. If you do think of anything after this talk, feel free to send me an email, or you can also email Mandela. Mandela has been taking on more and more of the artist curated program. And before you all leave, wanted to share a bit of exciting personal news, which you'll be getting in a member email shortly, but this is a little preview, if you will. I wanted to share that I am pregnant, and so I'm actually going to be on maternity leave in January, February, and March. Maybe, and we'll see sort of how the timing of everything works. But even more reason to ask me your questions now because as things move on, I'll have less availability. So that's another reason to reach out with to Mandela because she'll be sort of taking this over for me while I am on maternity leave.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good, good.
Yeah, I'm
Proud.
24 weeks. My due date's in January, January 14th. So,
Nice. Wonderful.
yeah. And yeah, I'm going to be hosting an NHAA baby shower on November 15th, which is a Saturday. If anyone, you're all invited. So
Number
it'll be
15.
fun.
Congratulations. That's really fun news. That's great.
Thank you.
Happy for you.
It's a big change, but I'm really excited and I feel like NHAA is in a really good, like our team is just, we're doing great. We're also cohesive.
Right.
So the timing worked out really well with January. The board was very excited. Great. The
Great.
balance closed. You can start your maternity leave.
And the baby will be happy to know that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining. And I'm sure that we'll connect soon. So have a good night, everyone.
You
Thank you.
too.
Good night.
Good night.